Peace and blessings, everybody. Come on in, come on in. I hope everyone is having a great day today. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. We got Miss Chicago in the building. Greetings, beautiful people. Good. Come on in and pile on into the chat. Feel free to engage. This isn't going to be a terribly long live today, but I definitely wanted to catch up and come into the room and talk about some of the things that's been going on and give my perspective as well as get the perspectives of those that are near me, those that interact with me on a regular basis. We got Cutting Edge in the building. Peace and blessings to you, Cutting Edge. Thank you for coming through. And the beautiful Miss Collins. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for sliding through and taking time out of your day. I'm just going to give it another minute or so, not too much longer to get an opportunity for a few more people to come on in. Hey, beautiful Phoenix, it's good to see you. Good to see you. Come on through. Come on through. Shout out to my mods. So I know it doesn't need to be said, but just as a gentle reminder, we have content creators in the chat. Please, to my mods, feel free to drop their links. I know Cutting Edge is a content creator, so if someone would be so kind as to drop his link in the chat, it would be fully appreciated. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Let me turn this down just a little bit. And I hope everybody is having a productive day. I hope everybody is, I don't know if it's sunny where everyone is, but you're getting some outside, some vitamin D, getting some things accomplished, telling some people you love them, being kind to somebody, giving a kind gesture to a stranger even. I know a lot of times we don't really deal with strangers, or some people don't feel comfortable interacting with strangers anymore, but I don't know. I use my discernment, but I always try to bless somebody in my midst, because you just never know what somebody is going through. And that's the real of it. Me and Laverne was talking, AKA Your Thoughts, the other evening, and we were talking about, I think she did a live stream where she was saying you just never know what people are going through. And that is so very true. Oh my gosh. You just never know. People act very well nowadays. They cover up very well, especially if you don't know them, right? So you just never want to take for granted that there isn't pain behind that smile that they may be giving to you or in your vicinity. And sometimes just a mere smile or a kind eye. If you don't want to smile, just a welcoming look sometimes can make the difference in people's days. And I know that sounds very minute in the scheme of real life in a lot of people's lives, but you just never know how it may actually make a difference in whether that person crashes out, snaps out, or actually feels that there's more life worth living or pushing through, even if it's just for that day. So I don't want to belittle or take away from the value of kindness. I know that, I don't know, but I haven't really been active in the chats or on YouTube lately. I had to do some inventory, some self-inventory, because, like some of the rhetoric and some of the content just really started to dampen my spirits and kind of change my mindset. And I can't let that happen. I got too much to be blessed about, too many things to be grateful for than to wallow or to, feel like I'm caught in the midst of the matrix of negativity. No shade to anybody. I'm just saying I have to do what works for me. But no disrespect, nothing but love, nothing but respect to any and everyone that receives it and that's open to receive it, right? So thank y'all for coming on in. All right, so let's get into the content, y'all. Let's get into the content. Now, we're going to be talking about a couple of things today. And we're going to start off with, at first, I just want to say that I know a lot of this information has been regurgitated and recirculated heavy in the media, and even heavier maybe in personal conversations online. We're talking about, the passing of Charlie Kirk, or the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the reaction to his death, how the response or the lack thereof response from Black America is being presented, is being framed, is being pushed through. And to add to that, we got, of course, the firing of Jimmy Kimmel. When it comes to, I guess Disney is the parent company that made the decision. And I had to absolutely, when I saw the video, because I went on another social media platform and looked up the video as to what the catalyst was that cost him his job. And hold on a minute, y'all. I'm going to put a couple of banners up or pictures up for information that's related to the topic, but that echoes Black America while I'm speaking, right? So when we're talking about Jimmy Kimmel, the video clip that he responded to Trump about or played, I wanted to know if it was in context. Did he take it out of context? Did he make a joke about it? What really transpired, right? Hey, Damn D, good to see you. Thank you for sliding through. I appreciate you. We got ICU TV in the building and Strawberry Shortcake. Thank y'all for coming through so much. I appreciate y'all. Listen, so I wanted to know if this video was like, okay, so did he like clip it up and switch shit around, or what did he do? And then I found out that it was actually Trump responding to a question of one of the reporters asking him, how did he feel about the passing of Charlie Kirk? And he referenced he said, I'm fine. And then he referenced some construction that was going on the White House grounds. And I was like, okay, well, if that was an actual video and he did not take it out of context, then why such the backlash to the point where they just canceled him, right? And I know there's a lot of different possibilities for answers, and unless you know, you may not know. I get all of that, but just putting everything into kind of like a big bowl, right, of what's going on and how one thing is triggering maybe the succession of another event, right? So we've got on top of that, which kind of mortified me, the viral TikTok celebrations, and how people have really just like, you would think that, I don't know, Hitler or somebody was taken out, right? Based off of the reactions and evoked reactions following him being assassinated or whatever, or taken out. Now, recently, I think it was either yesterday or day before yesterday. Forgive me if my days are a little mixed up. There's been a lot that's been going on. Very, very news heavy, right? So we got a tragic case out of Mississippi with a young Black man being found hung at Delta State University. Now, I was thinking, is this university, is it primarily white students there? Is it, what is the ratio of different nationalities that attend this university? And definitely condolences to Trey Reed and his family for the atrocity and the insult to injury. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but they said so far, they haven't done an autopsy, but so far they have not come to the conclusion of saying that there was foul play. Now, my whole thing on this is, okay, so somebody said, well, his legs were broken. Now, again, this is new news. So I'm not sitting back and making any assumptions, but if that, just for the fact of his legs being broken, there's any truth to that, how can you not ring that to be foul play? But let's start with the first topic. So we have, when it comes to Charlie Kirk, we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I definitely want to touch on it as a response of the Black community to this situation, and how people of different cultures are saying that Black people are silent or even celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And they're pointing fingers as if we are responsible for the racial tension that is building as a result of his death, when the person that they have apprehended and are charging with this man's death does not look like a melanated individual. But I want to definitely show a little video clip just to reiterate the very point that I'm speaking on.
Stay out of it. Hey, if we got to go back to the pandemic style and just kind of lock ourselves down, you know what I'm saying, to stay out their way, stay out their way. It is not, whatever they decide to do with each other, let them have it. Because one thing I know, and we already see it, they're not going to deal with each other. So if we're around, they're going to target us. If we're not around, they target themselves. But if you understand European history, that's what it was. They always were fighting each other in Europe. And then when they start coming around us and other people, then that's when they stop attacking each other and start attacking and colonizing and enslaving and all that other stuff at the places they had colonized, right? So introducing us and others kind of kept them from fighting each other so much. But we're not around, they have to deal with each other.
How is it, in my personal opinion, and my question to the chat and those that may be listening, it can be rhetorical or it could be a direct question. But what I would like to know is, if somebody that looked like Charlie Kirk took his life, then how is it that racial tensions should be building at all? When people, and so to his point, he has actually got a valid point. If we are around, if we have an opinion, we have a comment, we have, there's a word I'm looking for, anything to say that's related to the situation, even though it has, at the end of the day, really nothing to do with us. Were we the ones, or was it a melanated individual that pulled the trigger? Was it a melanated individual? As of now, there have been no suspects that have been melanated. They have had a few different people that they have blamed, up until the point of the 22-year-old young man, right? But the point being is that, was he Black? Was he melanated? So why is it that we are having these racial tensions? Now, right prior to that, I don't want to take it out of context, because right before that happened, we had the Arena Katruska young lady that in Charlotte, North Carolina was stabbed, right? So that preceded, right, I think a day or two right before Charlie Kirk. So that could be some of the explanation or the reason for some of the racial tension. However, at the end of the day, when we're speaking of a very public figure, a political figure such as Charlie Kirk, where he built his platform off of rhetoric that often targeted the Black community. So why is there such a backlash or such an outrage when there are people of color that feel compelled to really not get involved, to not have such an outwardly opinion, to not feel any empathy or sympathy? Now, there's a lot of the people that say that they didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. Never seen him, never heard him speak. If they heard him speak, they didn't know that that was his name. So why would people of color feel compelled to cry tears when the same man that spent years dismissing the struggles? Now, there's two sides of the coin when it comes to people saying, well, he wasn't racist, or he didn't disrespect Black people, or he didn't state anything that wasn't statistically correct or full of numbers or facts. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to celebrate his death, right? That's just my personal opinion. I did a live on that. If you want to know my opinion on his particular situation and how I feel about it and felt about it at the time that I did the live, please go back. I think it was the last live that I did. But it does mean that we have to unpack why so many people are detached from the situation. Now, when this brother speaks on people of color staying out of the situation, it seems like Black people are the first or the go-to to blame for a lot of things that take place, whether we were responsible, whether we were involved, whether we were not. When it comes to the blame game, it's overrated when it comes to people of color. So it has made a lot of Black people very gun shy, for lack of a better word, to even have an opinion, to say anything. And then those that do, they're often labeled as being angry, as being resentful, as, having a victimized mentality, of having a lack of empathy, of having a cold heart. And when it comes to that, it's like, why is the emphasis always put on people of color? And it's deflected off of the actual situation that this man was gunned down by somebody that looked exactly like him. For whatever the reasons are, whether he did it or he didn't, that is what is being presented to the public. Now, that has not only has it made every news station, mainstream, small, medium, or large, it has been reverberating since it happened. That's been a week ago. And it still has not died down. No matter what social media platform you go on, you're going to find some information. People are going to have an opinion. They're going to have some type of a say as to how they feel about the situation. It is just as alive of a topic as it was when it happened, in my opinion. But then you have this young man that was found hung, and I had to look far and wide for any information on him, and they are very closed mouth. And I'm going to tell you also why I say that after we watch this video. Hold on, y'all.
Authorities say the body of 21-year-old Demontravion Trey Reed was found hanged from a tree by a faculty member near the pickleball courts. Word spread quickly throughout the Cleveland campus, leaving students and others concerned and worried.
Well, because I am a Black student, hearing that happened to another Black student, it really made me feel, it's make me feel unsafe.
I do have to walk to class, and I like to go walk on the track. And it would be happy to know like what happened.
Local and state investigators immediately started looking into the incident. DSU Police Chief Michael Peeler says investigators found no evidence of foul play.
But pending an investigation, further investigation, and also from the medical examiner's office, we won't have more information until that part has been done.
And members of Reed's family are insisting on a thorough investigation.
Please, 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 please do your research on this. Do not let them sweep nothing else under the rug. Enough is enough.
University President Daniel Enos says the discovery left him heartbroken as he extended his condolences to Reed's family and friends. He added DSU would help students, faculty, and staff with the grief.
Now,
here's the scoop from
a lack of, hold on a second, I don't even know how to stop this thing. My bad, y'all. Okay, a runaway video. Okay. So, what I was going to say is that there seems to be a lack of immediate evidence of foul play. Now, initially, the reports, if any, suggested that there were no signs of struggle, assault, or other injuries. But the absence of such evidence, it just doesn't settle the questions for me. There should be and need to be a full investigation, and there should be no lag in it, in my opinion. A thorough autopsy, toxicology, forensic pathology, all of these things should be done to determine the exact cause and the manner of death, just as we received almost immediately, whether it was accurately stated or inaccurately stated about Charlie Kirk. They couldn't get the news out quick enough. All of these different news sources and platforms were coming out with just information on top of information, but yet and still I have to go search. And then there's still a lack of transparency and information. Now, I was watching Anton Daniels yesterday. I don't remember who he called, but he, Anton is Anton. And he said, he was like, well, we need this. And before I go running with this story, there needs to be more information out, which I agree with him on. But he made a phone call to it was either local police department, the non-emergency number in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Or maybe locally, and then he was inquiring about Mississippi. I think that's more accurate. But the woman said that, listen, that has to be local jurisdiction. You're going to have to deal with them directly, but they're not going to give you any information. And he asked why. And because he identified who he was a content creator on YouTube. And so she said, well, because if you were the family, would you want your loved one that had went through that trauma and that type of a demise, that information to be out? And he was like, no, but there should be some type of transparency and some type of knowledge or information to give the public. The only information that they had at the time, and that it still seems that they still have, is the fact that he had 2 broken legs, but then there has been no foul play indicated. So to me, there is a total lack of transparency as well as communication, and that the authorities should be sharing what they know, how they know it, and what remains under investigation. We should be getting some type of a step-by-step. That is not an everyday crime. And if it is in 2025, then we need to be revisiting the state and the nature of what our country is enduring in 2025 for something that has been happening or used to happen and was commonplace from the 1800s, therefore, right after. So look at all of the cameras. Now, colleges are known to have cameras, not just a plethora of cameras on the campus, but surrounding the campus to view the streets, to mirror the neighborhood, to be able to know what's going on in the circumference of the property of the college, of the university. How is it that nobody's got any, or nobody is reported? Everybody's got camera phones in their hands. They found the body early in the morning. It was daylight. You mean to tell me there's no surveillance, there's no video evidence? And if there is, and it does exist, then the footage should be preserved and reviewed. They do it for everybody else. How come this has not made mainstream news? That's my question. If videos are said to exist but not yet released, that raises questions, but I haven't even heard that. I haven't even heard that there is actual video footage, but it just has not been released pending further investigation. Another thing that we want to talk about too, when it's regarding this hanging of this young man that was going to college. And let me tell you something. Mine is approaching college age, and this terrifies me, for him to go out of state to college. I'm not going to even lie to you. When you send your child off to school to further their education, to try to position them, and you have families that have spent that child's entire life saving for them to go to college so they can have the opportunity to further their education, to come out and with the objective of landing a good career, good job, having a solid footing. But then you get that phone call saying that you'll never see your child again. But then on top of that, you don't have no answers. Ain't nobody giving no answers. The young man in the video, in the clip that we just saw, he said, without saying it verbatim, we don't need anything else swept up under the rug. We need some information. We need some transparency. We need some answers. Can you imagine somebody that you love not coming home? You'll never be able to see him alive again. And then you turn around and you don't know what the hell happened. And even in the case that there were no broken bones or visible trauma, internal examinations should be conducted, and they are crucial when you're talking about the medical history, the condition of the neck, whether the hanging was self-inflicted or forced. Now, I ain't never heard, well, I take that back. I have heard of people hanging themselves, but I haven't heard of them hanging themselves with 2 broken legs. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so let me go back up. I thought I saw somebody, a Virgo birthday in the building. We got Jenny up in the building. Hey, happy birthday. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And if you anything like me, and I'm a Virgo, I celebrated way more than one day. I didn't do the whole month, but I did do more than one day. It's more of the spirit of just being here another year. Amen. Amen. So happy birthday. Thank y'all for showing the love to her in the chat. Again, for those content creators that have pages, please feel free to drop links. If you haven't tapped the like button, please do so. And I think I missed, oh Lord. Okay, so we got Russell Red in the building. Thank you so much, Russell Red. With the super chat, he said, how you doing? The beautiful Mr. Kimmy, salute to you and the chat. Just wanted to see if you got that fragrance in the mail and was it in good condition? Yes, thank you so very much, Russell Red. That was very kind of you, a very sweet gesture. I really didn't expect to win, but it was a blessing that I did. Thank you so much. And everything was definitely intact when it was shipped. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you kindly. And we got, let me see, I address, we got Salaya Binya in the building. Thank you so much for coming through. It is good to see you. King Mills is in the building. Yes, indeed. It's so good to see y'all. I miss y'all. I appreciate y'all. And let me go down a little bit. And Candyman is in the building. We got TJ in the house. Thank y'all for coming through so much. I ain't got no special drops for the content creators. I ain't fancy like that, you know. But definitely appreciate y'all sliding through. So I definitely, okay, so I don't want to spend a whole lot more time because there really isn't that much more information. But again, condolences to the young man that has lost his life, Trey Reed, 21 years of age. Had his whole life ahead of him, you know, and I don't know. I know that there have been a record of more than one hanging in Mississippi for this week. Now, I did hear that there was another one. Now they say that he was of Caucasian persuasion. Not that it makes a difference to be able to go out like that, or to me, that's intentional, that's personal, and it should not be happening. And it definitely, in my opinion, should not be happening in 2025. I'm just telling you, this is crazy what this country is going through, and how it seems like every so often or every few years, there's another racially motivated situation, whether it's concocted, whether it's planned, whether it happens naturally. We don't know. This world is so fake to me. It is just so orchestrated. Everything, it's like, it reminds me when they talk of the puppet masters. I used to have this doll. One of the first dolls my dad bought me was one of those dolls that had the cheap kind had the 2 popsicle sticks across, and then it had the strings, and then they had 4 strings, and 2 strings operated the hands and 2 strings operated the feet. And I'm telling you, that's what I feel like. We're the puppet, and those 2 popsicle sticks with those strings are the powers that be, that just are getting a kick out of other people's misery, of their demise, of poverty, of sickness. It's like anything that they can monetize themselves off of, that's what they're doing. And it's old already, and there's got to be some type of a change at some point. This is just a bit much, but it just seems like people of color are always used as the pawns, or as the quote unquote bottom of the barrel, the primary constituents to use in this game that they play on a day-to-day basis. I always have this picture in my head of them being in a big room with all of the amenities that they desire on these big, huge screen TVs, making bets among, I know that it's even been in movies, but that's just what's planted in my head. And then you got these nasty looking, out of shape folks that half dressed, just no care on how they carry themselves, how they take care of themselves, but they big cigars in their mouths with drinks to the side, and they find just pleasure, sheer pleasure in other people's pain, because it's a game to them. When you have so much money and you have so much power, all you really have time to do, or the desire to do, is find some kind of sick games to play at the behest and at the disadvantage of God's children. And that's problematic for me. But I digress. I just wanted to share that, right? So we got Cutting Edge. Thank you for the gifted membership, Cutting Edge. I appreciate you. I can't see who got it. So whoever did receive it, God bless you, and make sure you thank Cutting Edge. He's just definitely been full of support when it comes to the gifted memberships, because it definitely helps the memberships, the algorithm, and all of that. So thank you kindly, always for being such a support system. So now I want to talk, let's switch a little bit. Like I said, we kind of moving from one topic to the next, because I don't want to make this a belabored or long live, but I definitely wanted to tackle some topics that have been circulating and just kind of give my take on it and give my opinion on a few things. Not here to spread rhetoric, to give misinformation. It's just to basically say that this is where my take on everything that's being circulated. I could go deep, but I don't want to lose people, and I really, you know what, it kind of, that rabbit hole does go deep, and that's for another live. But I just want to just kind of talk about, when we see groups of people, whether it's online and it's in the mainstream, and people are commentating and shifting blame to Black America for creating racial tension. I want to think about that for a second. Kind of going back to Charlie Kirk, because to me, that is the genesis of this most recent wave of racial tension that is brewing, and that has been brewing, but now it's brought it to the surface. So you have this man who has been unalived by someone that looks like him, who has a history of targeting our people, depending on how you look at it. That's when I look at the coverage and I look at the videos and the snippets. I try to look at like full videos because that is important for context. I'm not ignoring that. However, no matter how you look, hold on, however you look at it, it's not okay. It's not okay. And then you have people that are of color that are defending him by saying, well, did he tell any lies? Whether he gave statistics, whether he gave facts, did he say anything that wasn't true? Those things are debatable. One thing that I do want to say is that he had a habit of speaking facts and statistics, and then that overpowered the racial undertones and epithets that he gave, in my opinion. But then we're the ones that are accused of suddenly fueling division. And then all this time, in the meanwhile, we got one of our young men that's literally lynched. And then the story is not brought to the forefront and is more or less buried. So in my opinion, that tells you who this country chooses to center and who it chooses to silence. And to me, this is deeper than Charlie Kirk. This is deeper than Jimmy Kimmel. This is deeper than one viral TikTok. But before we go on, let's look at this video quickly of what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. I'm not going to show, because I don't want no smoke with YouTube, but I do want to give some context because Jimmy Kimmel, again, for those that might have came in after I initially spoke on him, I wanted to know that the video that he played of President Trump, did he play that in context or out of context? And he played it in context. And they took his entire platform, his show, and everything from him. So let me find the video real quick. And let's play it.
They waited to pull the plug on this right as the studio audience was about to walk in. It wasn't like this morning or last night. They waited for everyone to come into work today. They didn't tell us what had happened. They just said that the show was canceled. Initially, my concern was, I hope everyone's okay. No one got injured. They just said that tonight's show was canceled. As they told us the show was being canceled, at the same time online, they announced that it was indefinitely, which we can probably assume is forever, taken off the air because of certain comments that were made, and which I was not aware of. And then I went to go look to see what those comments were, and they didn't really seem to justify the means. It seemed to be a bit extreme.
Now, when they say he mocked,
tonight, 1 week after students scrambled for their lives.
When they say that he mocked President Trump's response, that was the part that kind of threw me, saying that Trump is grieving like a 4-year-old mourning a goldfish. Now, I thought that was out of line and definitely could have been taken as a sheer insult, especially when you're speaking on the president. I mean, even a lot of people don't like him. All of that's good. I mean, understood. However, the bigger concern that I have is, how does that affect our freedom of speech? Because, again, he did not take the video out of context. He actually played what Trump said. Now, the little ad lib at the end, he could have kept that. But I believe he still would have gotten the same result, just because it did not show Trump in a good light. It showed him as lacking empathy and sympathy for Charlie Kirk. Now you got Brendan Carr, the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, that publicly criticized Kimmel's remarks, calling them misleading, possibly false, which actually was not, because I went and looked up the actual clip of when Trump spoke, not just the one that Kimmel clipped up and then played in order to serve his purpose. And nothing was edited, particularly the suggestion that the shooter was associated with the MAGA movement. Now, he did say that as well, right? But now I don't know a whole lot of statistics when it comes to that portion of it. I haven't been following it that closely. I want to just provide total transparency, but Carr did say that the broadcast license of Disney comes with obligations, including to serve the public's interest. So it sounds like there's some money stuff going on in the background. Anytime you think of Disney, you think of moolah, dinero, cheese, cheddar, wealth, power, all of these different things. So in order for them to back something, you're going to have to play by their rules, and you're going to definitely have to make sure that you adhere to whatever stipulations and expectations that they have set before you, because they are their brand, they're a company, they're a powerhouse. So another one too is you got Next Star Media Group said that it will pull Jimmy Kimmel Live from its stations. So there's a lot of different stations that have reacted as a chain of events, where they cited his comments as being offensive and super insensitive and believing them not to reflect the local community values. But once more, I want to illustrate the freedom of speech. Because this is very public, right? So when you trickle down to somebody like myself and others that are just mere content creators using a specific platform, there are on YouTube community guidelines that have to be followed. I remember during the pandemic, people were getting channels taken down for even discussing the jab, for discussing the vaccinations, for giving an opinion, for stating what they will or won't do, what they're capable of doing. They were heavily censored. I believe that was a test run. And I believe that this was a situation of execution. Like they were going to set an example with Jimmy Kimmel and what he said, whether it was taken out of context or not. He should have known better, basically, is what is the message that I have received, right? So they totally took his show off. And following ABC, again, which is owned by Disney, his show's been suspended indefinitely. No specific end date has currently been given, but they have definitely said, okay, at some point, you're not coming back. Now, whether the decision again is financially based or not, it definitely has seemed to come from the top executives at Disney. And then you got the CEO, Robert Iger, and the television head, Dana Walden. All of these people were very, very, very involved. So, I don't know. Again, the censorship. I'm bringing this up because it's just like one chain of event after. It's like a connect the dots type of situation. It's like you can't recoup or absorb the actions of one situation before you are presented with something totally different. And there's a chain of events that has happened with that, right? So again, these are things that, again, this is not going to be a long live. I know I've said that. I know I can get long-winded, and sometimes I have to be mindful of how far in I go, as a form probably of censorship, but I also believe that there's a time and a place that's appropriate for certain types of conversations. And I did not want to go. I was listening to, shout out to Armando. Armando, I was not aware he was ill. And I heard that he had pneumonia. So I'm so glad that he is on the mend and that he is in the recovery stage. It's easy to lose people from pneumonia. So for you to still be here, peace and blessings to you, Armando. And I'm glad that you're on the road to recovery and all is well in that area. But he was saying, that nobody was really talking about this. I've only heard a couple of people actually mention the young man being hung. And again, it sent me on this tailspin of me looking for information to try to see what information has been accumulated, some facts around the case. What do we have to work with? Has his family, how they dealing with it? What's the next steps? And it's like hardly nothing. Would somebody drop Armando's link to his channel in the chat as well, please? I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. And Taran the Black as well. Let me see, do we have any other content creators? If I missed anybody and we have other content creators, please drop links in the chat. I'm not seeing any links. Maybe I'm just, okay, I do. I'm sorry. I didn't go up far enough. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Shout out to Kelvin Kreiner. It's good to see you. We got Taran the Black in the building. Thank you so much for coming through. We got Tajaga in the house. Always good to see you. We got Greg Moyer. Absolutely. Good to see you as well. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. So today I leave you with this. Let me remove this. I just want to ask a few questions to promote some thought. Okay. I don't want to finger wave. I don't want to make a whole lot of assumptions, a whole lot of statements. This is more fuel to provoke thought and independent thinking with all that's going on. I think a lot of it is to fuel confusion, to keep us distracted, to keep us off target, to keep us so busy that we don't have the time, the energy, or the wherewithal to focus or to centralize our energies on the things that actually matter, the things that are coming down the pike. There are definitely some stuff coming down the pike that I don't know if a lot of people are ready for. But what I want to ask is, what does it say about our culture when a celebrity unaliving dominates the news cycle while we have a young man being hung in Mississippi, barely making a whisper in the news? What does it say when our people are blamed for tensions that we did not create? This is not something that we are responsible for, yet it just never ceases to amaze me how things get construed or misconstrued and so twisted that we forget where it originated and where it came from in the first place. And also, what does it mean when compassion itself has become selective, has become political, and performative? It seems like we are in a clown show, and the ones that are orchestrating the show don't have faces. The ones that do have faces are being used as the puppets to camouflage and to obscure the ones that do have faces or don't have faces. We have to be able to have enough critical thinking skills and independent thinking to be able to look beyond the surface, to look beyond what is being presented to us, because it's always a story to be told. But it's hard to figure out what the agenda is or what the reason for the story is when we don't even know who's telling the story. We just know that there are actors performing it. We have got to stop letting others define our response. We don't have to celebrate death, but we also, in my opinion, don't have to apologize for refusing to weep for those who never wept for us. I plan on keeping my focus on truth, justice, and protecting my own, because that is what I have the ability to do. That is within the scope of my control. I appreciate y'all. For those that are coming in and watching the replay, feel free, and the ones that are in the chat, to drop your thoughts in the comments section. If you found some value, please share the stream. And I want to continue this conversation because it's relative and pertinent to our everyday lives. We have families. We have people that we love that are connected to us that we need to be concerned about. And that is being proactive, because if we do that, then we are still playing our part within the ability and the limitations of what we can control, if that makes sense. I appreciate everybody again. Happy birthday, Jenny. I appreciate you. Thank you. I hope you enjoy your day, and I hope everybody in your immediate, you take care of your family so well. I want to make sure that this is your day and that people are taking care of you. And we got, thank you, this girl. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, and I appreciate the super chat. Peace, Mr. Kimmy and chat. Much love to y'all. Thank you to all of those that did send super chats. Thank you for the engagement in the chat. Thank you to my mods for participating, for dropping links, for definitely just keeping the conversation going. I'm very grateful, and I hope and pray that everybody has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. Yeah, and that's pretty much all I got. I thank y'all. I really, really do. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace, everybody.
I built my own lane. Truth's my compass and passion's my flame. One day it's love, the next is new. Sometimes it's pain, sometimes it's the blues. I react, I reflect, I keep it 100. No scripts, no gimmicks, just thoughts unbundled. So if you feel true, if real is what you see, you just found home. Welcome to Miss Akemi.